Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are cracking open a concept that, well, according to the sources you sent us, really defined the whole cultural landscape of 2025.
It really did.
We're talking about a word that jumps straight from, what, academic sociology?
Yep, straight from the textbooks.
And into our comment sections, our group chats. I mean, it's everywhere.
Absolutely.
So our mission today is to unpack why this kind of awkward academic term, parasocial, completely went mainstream.
Right.
We're not just going to define it. We need to look at its surprisingly deep history, see how it exploded in celebrity culture, and I think most importantly, figure out what it all means for us.
It's the perfect cultural snapshot, really. When the Cambridge Dictionary named parasocial its word of the year for 2025, it wasn't just because a lot of people were searching for it. It was reflecting the zeitgeist, the whole mood of the year. We're seeing this unprecedented emotional connection to people, to characters, even to AIs we've never actually met.
And we absolutely have to start with the definition because everything else sort of builds on that. The sources define parasocial as involving or relating to a connection that someone feels between themselves and a famous person they do not know.
And that 2025 update is crucial.
It is. They added fictional characters, influencers, and artificial intelligence to that list.
That expansion right there, it tells the entire story of the shift. The core of it, the most important part, is that it's a one-sided bond. It's unreciprocated.
So you, the viewer, the fan, you feel like you know them. You project emotions onto them.
But they have no idea who you are. Or in the case of an algorithm, the whole relationship is just an illusion. It's designed for engagement.
Okay, let's unpack the history first, because that was the first thing in the sources that really surprised me. You hear parasocial, you immediately think TikTok, right? Or streaming.
You'd think it's a new thing.
But it's not. The concept is, what, nearly 70 years old?
That's right. It goes all the way back to 1956. Two sociologists, Donald Horton and Richard Wohl, they coined the phrase parasocial.
And it was to describe the one-way relationships people were forming with TV personality.
Exactly. People on screen.
So like your local news anchor, they're
Yeah.
broadcast into your living room every night, and they become these fixtures in people's lives.
It mimics that closeness of a friend, but there's no real dialogue. It's a passive intimacy from passive viewing.
So what happened? I mean, how did we get from a 1956 academic term for TV viewers to this?
Well, the opportunity for these kinds of connections just mushroomed the internet. But there's a deeper thing going on, I think, that the sources point to.
Which is?
It's a decline in trust.
In trust of what?
Of big traditional institutions.
Yeah.
Of mainstream media. The 1956 viewer trusted the network anchor, But the 2025 viewer, they're looking for an individual voice, someone who feels authentic, who shares vulnerability.
And the digital world just rushed in to fill that vacuum.
With thousands of accessible, supposedly real people, even if the relationships are still totally one-sided.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
The need hasn't changed, just the source of the connection. Okay, let's get into the examples that really put this word on the map, because the emotional investment is just staggering.
The Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce story, that was the case study the Cambridge Dictionary kept pointing to.
Right.
When they announced their engagement, fans felt this profound personal connection, a deep involvement in a relationship they've only ever seen through, curated media.
And it's not a coincidence that it's Taylor Swift at the center of this. The sources really highlight how her music, her confessional lyrics about dating, heartbreak, and desire, it's like a catalyst.
It is. She's basically handing you a blueprint to feel like you're part of her personal narrative.
Which can lead fans down that road of obsessive interpretations.
Yeah.
They really feel they know her.
And that feeling, that emotional projection, is what fueled the incredible split in public reaction. I mean, you saw it in the Reddit threads you sent over.
Oh, yeah.
The bond is so strong that it creates these wildly different extreme views about two people that, again, nobody actually knows.
Right. You had one camp that was fully bought into the romance. They saw a real couple, real relationship.
A healthy model of masculinity and mutual support. They were cheering for the fairy tale.
And then immediately, you had the other side, the skeptics who were just as emotionally invested, but negatively.
Calling it fake, a PR stunt, or, just waiting for the spectacular headline-dominating disaster.
The fact that one relationship can trigger that much loyalty and that much suspicion at the same time.
That is the absolute hallmark of modern parasociality.
And that energy doesn't just stay online, does it? I mean, it must have a huge impact on the industry itself.
Oh, it completely reshapes marketing. Brands know that audiences are desperate for what feels authentic. So now everything is about narrative, vulnerability, sincerity, or at least the appearance of it.
If they can make you feel like I know them or they get me.
They create massive loyalty. And it goes beyond just the huge A-listers.
Like with Lily Allen's breakup album, West End Girl, that sparked its own little cottage industry of parasocial interest in her love life.
Or even with fiction. Look at The Summer I Turned Pretty. The finale of that show launched actual TikTok and Instagram team wars.
Team Conrad versus Team Jeremiah.
Yeah, and people were fighting over these projected relationships with the same intensity as a real-life breakup.
It's fascinating. And if you're enjoying this, look at our weird cultural connections. Maybe take a second to subscribe to the deep dive. We've got a lot more coming, especially on how this all jumped from humans to AI.
That's a perfect transition because social media didn't just put the global celebrity in your pocket. It gave us the micro-celebrity.
The influencer, the streamer, the podcaster.
And that's where the boundaries get really, really blurry.
Because their whole brand is about spontaneity, right? Imperfection. That confessional nature makes the bond feel so much more real.
And for some people, these personalities who are just always on, always available, they've literally been said to replace real friends.
Wow. We even saw streamers like iShowSpeed. He actually used the word. He called an obsessive fan his #1 parasocial.
So the feedback loop is complete. The creator is now fully aware of the dynamic they're part of and, well, that they're monetizing.
And now for the part that I think is the most unsettling. The next frontier.
Artificial intelligence.
Forming parasocial relationships with AI chatbots. We're talking about people using tools like ChatGPT as confidants, as friends, as quasi-therapists.
Professor Simone Schnall calls it an illusion of a relationship, and it's a really important distinction.
How so?
Well, with a human influencer, the bond is still with a real, unpredictable person. With an AI, the bond is with an algorithm that is specifically designed to give you perfect, non-challenging feedback.
Though it's often constant positive affirmations, a proxy for therapy, without any of the messiness of a real human.
Exactly. And the sources say young people are especially susceptible to that. It's the ultimate low-effort companion.
And the language is evolving to keep up. I mean, we saw the rise of words like Delulu and skibidi just to describe online chaos.
But now we have AI-specific words.
Tell us about slop and glazing.
Slop is just, low-quality, churned-out AI content. But glazing is really interesting. It's defined as excessive artificial flattery, the kind you get from a chatbot.
Huh.
So we are already, as a culture, creating vocabulary to describe the fact that we know this intimacy is fake, we know it's manufactured, and yet the demand isn't slowing down.
Which brings us to the big question, the one you really need to understand here. Are these relationships healthy? And the answer isn't a simple yes or no.
No, it's very nuanced. The psychologists in your sources, like Dr. Anna, they're quick to point out that being parasocial isn't automatically unhealthy. It can just reflect empathy, a very human desire for connection.
And for people feeling lonely or isolated, it can be a real comfort, a source of stability.
For sure. And there are even some documented social benefits. One study showed that watching creators talk openly about their struggles with, say, bipolar disorder actually lowered prejudice in the viewers.
So following a creator's journey can be a positive thing.
That's the upside. That's healthy fandom, where you admire someone but you're still grounded in reality. The danger comes when the intensity ratchets up and the boundaries just dissolve.
So where's that line? When does it tip over from healthy empathy into something more destructive?
Dr. Anna laid out 4 clear red flags. The first is when it starts interfering with your actual life.
Like choosing the obsession over real-world friendships, or not dating because you're too invested.
Or getting into constant, draining online fights defending a celebrity. The second is when it causes persistent emotional distress or costs you too much time, money, your own well-being.
Okay. What's number 3?
The slide into delusion. That's when you start to forget the relationship is one-sided. You start to believe the public figure actually knows you or owes you something personally.
And the last one?
The last one is when that bond turns negative and controlling. When the fan starts to devalue, harass, or try to cancel the person for not living up to their imagined standards.
It's the difference between being a fan of someone and feeling like you own them.
That's it exactly. The key is maintaining that awareness of reality. making sure these easy, low-risk connections aren't replacing the hard work of building real, healthy human relationships.
And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button because this whole conversation about manufactured intimacy, it's only going to get more urgent.
It truly is. The rise of parasocial as the word of the year captures this huge shift in culture and technology. It tells us where we're going to find connection in a world that's just flooded with digital information.
So wrapping this up, what does it all mean for the future? We know the impulse to connect is ancient, but now technology has made this manufactured intimacy available 24/7.
And AI is getting better and better at perfecting that manufacturing process. The challenge now is maintaining those boundaries, knowing what's real, when the line between a messy human friend and a perfect AI chatbot gets thinner and thinner.
Which leaves us with a final provocative thought for you to consider. We know the human mind is wired to connect, and it doesn't always distinguish between what's real and what's imagined. It bonds with what's there. So as these emotionally tailored AI companions get more and more sophisticated, how will that challenge our ability as a society to prioritize genuine, complex, and messy human relationships in the years ahead?
That's the big question.
It certainly is. Thank you for sharing these sources for this deep dive into the word that really captured the zeitgeist of 2025.